Welcome to today's program, Mythbusters, Advanced Standing Dental Programs, sponsored by ASDA and the ADA. I'm Brooke Achuris, and I support ASDA's pre-dental and advanced standing members from the central office here in Chicago. Before we begin, note that all attendees are muted so that we don't pick up any background noise during the program. During the presentations, you'll be able to ask questions of the presenters. You'll notice a control panel on the right side of your screen. You can type into the question box at any time at the end, and we'll answer as many questions as we can. We'll also provide contact information for the presenters if you would like to email them directly. ASDA has many resources for its members, whether they be participants in an advanced standing program, traditional dental students, or those intending to become dental students. Our resources can help you with the necessary steps you need to take before you apply to dental school, all the way through your application and interview. The application process for an ASIDP program is quite similar to the traditional dental school application process. Evaluation letters, TOEFL scores, and transcripts should be current. Check with each school individually for their specific requirements. Interviews for ASIDP students generally include bench or practical examinations and a personal interview. You should be prepared to answer any of these questions. Be sure to renew your membership for the most up-to-date version of the Pre-Dental Handbook. This handbook has information on all dental schools with an ASIDP program. It's important to note that some programs have different start dates, so the application deadlines may vary. I'd now like to introduce Poojan Dinesha, Advanced Standing DMD candidate for the 2019 from Boston University's Henry M. Goldman School of Dental Medicine. He serves as ASDA's ASIDP Advisory Committee Chair for the 2018-19 year.
Thank you, Brooke. Hello, everybody. I'm Poojan Danesha. I'm currently a DMD student, as Brooke said, in the Boston University Dental School. I'm going to be talking a little about what these advanced standing programs are. These programs are specifically designed to help individuals like us, like yourself, and like everybody who's applying for a dental school in the United States. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone out there already knows who's a dentist. If you want to come down to the US, America not only asks you to come here and finish your requirements, they also asks you to actually get enrolled in an American accredited university to hone in your skills and prove your competence. However, these programs are specifically designed and tailored around our needs and according to what the Dental Board Association deems it to be necessary for us to train in. Majority of the schools, if not all, have opened their doors to international graduates to join the team at their esteemed institutions and train under well-renowned faculty. Currently, there are close to, say, 40, or I would say more than half the schools, total dental schools in America, they offer these programs where we can train as the dentists from all over the country, all over the world rather, would come down to the United States of America and train themselves to be competent enough to start practicing dentistry eventually. Compared to the traditional DMD or the DDS programs, which are there for the regular students after their bachelor's degree here in America, our programs are much more intense. They demand a great dedication from you guys, and they also have a limited acceptance. Let us talk about myself here a little bit. I have absolutely no family here in America, and I'm pretty sure many of you out there would be at the same place as well. When I first came down to America, I did not know where to start from. I came here as a master's student. I did my master's in public health because public health is my passion, like it would be for many of you guys as well. Anyways, apart from that, when I first came down here, I had no idea how to begin my studies. I had no idea the resources to fall back to. And then one of my really good friends who was serving the same post in ASDA right now that I am serving, the chair of the advisory committee a couple of years ago, he told me, check out ASDA. You should have one such resource, which should be a one-stop stop for you guys. At the American Student Dental Association, we work as a team all around the year to make all the information available to you as aspiring dentists. Now, you would ask me, where did you get all the info apart from knowing about what ASDA is and everything? If you take a look on ASDA's International Dentistry page, you will find a lot of links which we have put out there for you guys, just so that you don't end up pouring your time in this sea full of information and just hope for it to reap about more benefits that's necessary for you guys. Let us give you a background of a little bit about the committee that we serve in. At least myself, I'm the chair of the ASIDP committee in the United States, so I basically overlook all these programs in the United States, which are international programs. That anybody who wants to come to America and do these programs, they can get in touch with me and know more about these programs. I'm not the only one, however. I work with 4 other people, and we are a team of 5. Unfortunately, Jimmy and my other colleague, Amanjot Baines, she's not able to join us. Even Jimmy, they're not able to join us because they have something going on at the same time. However, I would like to introduce 2 of my other colleagues who are online with us right now, Ahmed and Anna. Ahmed Naji is one of the students at the Rutgers University of Dental Medicine, and he is currently serving his 2nd year in the clinics. Anna Fuzu, she's a Moldovan girl. She is from an Eastern European country. She graduated from the University of Minnesota already and is working right now in Washington State. Let's all go to busting some of the myths now. Talking about the myth number 1 that we have here, it is very difficult to get into these advanced standing programs, and I would be asking Ahmed here to debunk this myth for you guys. Can I have you online, Ahmed?
Thank you, Pujan. Thank you, Brock. My name is Ahmed Nagy. I'm 4th-year dental student at Rutgers School of Dental Medicine in New Jersey. So a lot of people are think it's very hard to get into international dental programs now in the United States. Being the youngest international student with Rutgers, I think it's as long as you do what you can, you go around, volunteer, shadow. If you have any time, just try to get into any kind of dental programs. Try to do your best. If you can work, try to work as a dental assistant. That will give you a lot of experience. And then just apply to the programs. You never know. If you have the credential and the minimum requirements, do your best and apply. And that's it.
Thank you, Ahmed. I would now request Anna here, who would also take up on one of the other myths that we have. The other myth that we are going to talk about right now is, I have a baby and a family. It is impossible for me to go to school again. You might be proved wrong. You would just want to listen to Anna here. Anna, can I have you online, please?
Hello. Thank you, Pujan, for the introduction. Thank you, Brooke. Can you see me, Pujan?
We can see you.
Okay. So thank you for the introduction. And first, a little bit about myself and my story. As Pujan mentioned, I live in Seattle, Washington, and but originally I'm from east part of Europe, which is the Republic of Moldova. It is here in Seattle where before dental school, I took national boards, I volunteer in profit and non-profit dental clinics, and I got in different research projects, led community events for American Cancer Society, for American Heart Association and our company. In 2016, I have started my program at University of Minnesota School of Dentistry. And in Minnesota, I was the president and founder of the Dental Student Endodontic Association. In the same time, I was the representative for the international dental students, and I got involved in student council. In school, I also conducted the research with the Department of Endodontics, research which has secured me the first place for the Minnesota Dental Student Research Association annual presentation. As well, the research got selected for the Academy of General Dentistry annual research posters 2018. So this year I graduated the University of Minnesota with honors, and I came back in Seattle right away after my graduation. And shortly after it, I started to work as an associate in a group practice, and I worked together with specialists and advanced general dentists. But my biggest achievement until now, I still consider that is my family and my daughter, Leia, which you can see her up here. And to all moms and dads out there watching and listening to us, please remember, having a family or kids and going for dental school, it is total possible today. So even more, having a family can be one of your biggest, one of your strongest point in your profile, and I will tell you now how to present it in your interests. So first of all, having a family gives you one more possibility to set your profile apart from everyone else during the application process. So today we know that having a good GPA and a 3-digit TOEFL score, it's not enough to give you an interview or to grant you an admission to dental school. In the same time, program directors are not looking anymore just at our scores or CV. They are rather looking at us, at each applicant in a 3D perspective. They want somebody not just smart enough to go through the dental school and through very challenging curriculum, but they also want somebody who is strong mentally to overcome any eventual failures. So in your personal statement, rather than saying that I have a strong character, make it personal and don't be generic. Describe how did you succeed to this point professionally, but in the same time, how did you manage to support your family? Some people may need to work two jobs. Other, for example, moms, they need to study for boards while in the same time they need to babysit their kids. So all of these are just very strong illustrations about your personality and dedication to the profession. Come up with a personal story to set you apart. And even if you may think that there's nothing special about it, try to word it carefully so it will work for you and in your interests. So to support your family and school during and to support your family and to go through school can be challenging. And I had a colleague in dental school. He also has a family and kids like me. And he was an assistant during the day and an Uber driver during the night. But he crafted his personal statement in a such way that he showed the admission committee how valuable his job as a driver was. So he told me his story that being a driver gave him the possibility to meet a tremendous amount of different people, which have a completely different cultural background. He didn't just learn to be a good communicator, he learned about different cultures and how to interact with them. So today we know that being a good communicator, having a strong active listening skills, all of these are just, they have a tremendous value for our profession. Second, having a family can offer you also a big emotional support while you're in school. For example, I remember my husband was my first to-go person while I was in school having a difficult test, a big exam, or some frustrations with my patients. So this was a big help for me as well. Last but not least important, even after dental school, when you're trying to get a job, having a family and kids can be a big advantage for you. For example, I interview in different corporates, group practice, and private offices, and I noticed that they like actually when you have a kid or family, because most of the time it's like a way to tell them, I'm not gonna move, I wanna stay here because my kid is attending a certain daycare, or I'm less prone to move because my husband or my wife, in some cases, they may have a good job, and this also was very helpful for me. So to all of you out there, don't let your family situation or kids to discourage you from following your dream. Yes, kids can make our life a little bit busier and challenging. So that's why these applicants, they are looked at because they have more experience, and obviously because they had big challenges to overcome in order to get into dental school. So good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. And back to me again. It's gonna be my turn to bust another myth that we have here. I need to have a graduate degree in order to apply for the ASIDB program. No, you would be surprised. It's not mandatory. Let me just clear something up for you guys. Graduate degree here in the US, meaning it's a master's program, which most of us actually think about coming here as the first time that we come to America, we actually think about getting ourselves into a master's program and come here. If you see the picture down here, I was actually getting into the office of one of the representatives in the state here in the Senate House in Washington, D.C. during the lobby day. I am a greatest advocate for public health, and that's why I brought that with me here. When I first came down to America, I did not want to straight away get myself into dentistry. I wanted to explore what the other determinants are for the public health, so I got myself into a master's program. Now, I wouldn't recommend anybody to come down here and take a program just for the heck of doing, the NBDE boards, or, for an example, do a research or say shadow in a clinic, but rather choose a profession on the side which, motivates you, or which strengthens your beliefs, which keeps you determined about what you really value in your life. I value public health a lot, so I took my master's program in public health, learned about a lot of other determinants about public health, and then I transitioned slowly into dental school. So no, it is not mandatory, or it is not at all advisable to get into a program just for your resume to be boosted up. I would not recommend that, and I don't think any one of us here would recommend that to you. However, the case is different if you yourself wish to do a program here like a Master's of Health Administration, or Master's in Public Health, or Master's in Biomedical Sciences. Always remember, you should be able to relate all these into how you are a determined dentist, and how can these, whatever you are coming here in the United States to do a program in, how can these help you develop as a better human being first, and then as a better healthcare professional. I would definitely recommend for you guys to take a look at all your resources in Google, and if not, wonderful page in ASDA, International Dentistry page. You can come down there and you can take a look at all the dentistry, all the schools which provide you the international programs that you can enroll yourself into. Also, some of these schools have preceptorship programs where you can come and observe, or you can shadow within the school. You can see how the culture here is in dentistry. You can see what dentistry is here in the United States, or whether you can do it. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. Last week, I had one of those days, I'm just giving you an example of one of those days that I have at school. I had an exam Tuesday last week. I had an exam on Thursday, which was my licensing exam, so that I can be a licensed dentist. On Friday, immediately the day after my license exam, I had an orthodontics exam. Same morning of that exam, I had 2 patients, and in the evening I also work on the side as a chef. So in the evening, I had to go to my workplace. I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk for you guys, but it's definitely going to be challenging. At the same time, it is possible. Like Anna said, like Ahmeds said, everybody here, if you see, all their profiles fit so differently, but they're all here and they're all practicing dentistry at the end of the day. So if your aim is practicing dentistry at the end of the day, or eventually, definitely take a leap of faith and just come down here, see what it is like to be a dentist in the United States. If not, just don't come down here straight for your NBDE and then, make up your mind. Just come down here first, take a look around, go to a dentist, shadow them for a couple of days. I'm pretty sure a lot of dentists out there, they would like for you to, come to their office and shadow them. When you shadow, you would know what dentistry is. It's absolutely no necessity of doing a master's program for you to, get into the ASIDP programs. All right. I guess we've been talking a lot about myself off lately, so we should definitely move to somebody else now. We will now open up the program questions, right? I would definitely say thank you for listening to me all this time, and please believe in yourself, believe in your dentistry, always be determined why you became a dentist in the first place. Like I said, public health and dentistry are so much to me because that's my identity right now. I am holding on strongly to my dentistry, and I would definitely hope that you all do too. Listening to all these people, do not give up on hopes, or do not give up on hopes thinking about how difficult it is going to be. Instead, just jump in with both the feet. All right. I'm going to hand it over to Brooke now, and we are going to have some question and answer sessions. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. We do have some questions coming in. Remember that you can add your questions into the question box on the side in the control panel, as I'd like all 3 of you to join me so we can ask questions of all 3 of you. The first one that came in, how important is dental experience in your application? Let's start with Ahmed. What do you think?
So like I graduated from Egypt in 2014. I finished 1-year internship in 2015, and then I moved to the United States. Everyone was telling me, "Oh, you don't have any chance to get into this cycle. You should wait another cycle, improve your application." However, I shadowed a local pediatric dentist. I volunteer with a free dental clinic. I work as a dental assistant. And at the same time, I was working on my application to apply to dental school. I got an interview at Rutgers. I got accepted, and I actually am the youngest in the international class. So you don't listen to other people who's telling you like you don't have any chance of getting in now. As long as you do what you can, just apply and you will be good to go. Go ahead, Gujan.
All right. So just to add on to that point, don't ask too many people as to what to do. I am pretty sure everybody out here as an attendee already knows what you need to do. The more people you ask, the more confused you are going to get, and the more scared you're going to get to even make an effort and start. That's what I was feeling when I was in your place right now. A year ago, the same time, when I was trying to get into the dental school, I asked hundreds of people, what do I study? How do I appear for my national board exam? Do not ask these questions anymore. You know what to study. Dental decks are enough, and if more you want to just refine your studies, just go take a look at the ASDA papers that we have published outside, because those are going to give you the idea of how the exams are going to be conducted, what questions are going to be asked, as it is in your the dental decks books. So I would definitely believe Ahmed in saying that do not ask a lot of people, just take a leap of faith and jump in, as I said.
Anna, what about you? Do you think shadowing is enough for your application? Anna, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I do believe that shadowing is definitely helpful, but many schools, they also appreciate when you volunteer. So also, I would say that you can tailor, if you can, your personal statement and your application to a different school. For example, many schools, they have different missions. Some of the schools, they may have a mission to supply the dentist in a rural area. So if you're going to volunteer in rural areas, that is going to be very helpful for your application. Our school, they may have a mission of, I don't know, just advancing the profession. Some schools would say in San Francisco or LA. And again, you should tailor your application to that school specifically.
All right, the next question. I'm a recent South American dental school graduate. How do I approach clinical experience in applications?
I didn't quite get the question. So the student already graduated from United States?
From South American dental school. How do they approach the clinical experience in their applications?
I can answer that question. So for example, again, when you're shadowing a dentist, try to be proactive, of course, in the limits. You don't want to interfere with the workflow. So when you are observing, shadowing, volunteering, try to pick up as much information as you can. Try to make sense from what you see, not just, I don't know, just be kind of part in the process. So this will help you a lot to understand the clinic part. Before you start to work, before applying to dental school, you should have at least a very clear picture in your mind. Also, many schools, they have a bench exam, and when you're practicing for them, that is going to be a very good training. Yeah.
Where's the question again here?
Welcome back, Pujan.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was a power surge.
It was a recent South American dental school graduate, and they wanted to know how to approach clinical experience in their application.
So in order to attend an ASIDP program, before that or after?
To attend an ASIDP program.
Oh, okay, I see. I'm pretty sure Anna already answered all the questions.
Let's move to the next question. How important is the ADAT? Ahmed, you want to go for this? Ahmed, you're muted.
So the ADAT is the advanced exam of the DAT, which is the same exam that regular students take to apply to dental schools here in the United States. I know a lot of people now trying to take this exam. It's getting as a requirement for some dental schools. However, if like I think if it's not a requirement, it's not a must that you have to take it. I would try to invest this time doing like more of dental related activities, such as attending local dental events, trying to go to national dental events. There's always something that you can do in your area. Dental missions, as Anna said before, these all add to your profile and make you unique in a way that shows your interest in dental and dentistry, not just like taking an exam. That's what I think.
Anna? Anna, you're muted.
I just want to add that unless that is a specific dental school which you want to attend, go ahead and get ready for it. But as long as you're open to go to any school, I agree with my colleague Ahmed that I'll rather, for example, myself invest the time and do something else like volunteer. I'll get involved in a different research, profit and non-profit dental clinics. This way, I will open the opportunities to get in many other dental schools, not just in that particular school which requires this test.
Anything to add, Pujan?
Yeah, I was just wondering if all the schools have made it mandated about the ADAT. They've not, right? They still believe that NBDE 1 and Part 2 are sufficient for you to get into. Although I would definitely say that as the time passes, because of the whole influx or the upward trend, you would say, that we are seeing today of migrating healthcare professionals to the US, I would definitely say with each passing day, the requirements are only going to be more stringent and the scrutiny is going to be even more stricter. They're going to make the requirements more and also more difficult for you to get in. So I would definitely recommend, rather than taking your chance at taking the ADAT and apply to that particular school, just take an NBDE Part 1 and 2 and apply to the other schools that you have more sense of getting in. Also, I would like to add one of the points that the national boards are going to be integrated in another 2 years, I guess. 2020 will be the time that they're trying to implement the INBDE, that is the Integrated National Board Dental Examination, instead of 2 exams that we have currently. So my take on this is, don't be too stubborn about going to a particular school, but instead just take the national boards right now when you have a chance, Part 1 and Part 2, and apply to the schools which take those exams and consider you as a competent candidate.
Okay, the next question. I've been working in 2 offices as a dental assistant and the front office. I took my NBDE 1 and did not pass. I asked for feedback but did not get enough feedback. How do I approach my next steps?
I can start at that. Anybody else doesn't mind. All right, so I would definitely say failing is not demotivating, or you shouldn't be disheartened at this step, because I know people who have failed in their first attempts because of whatever reason it can be. You don't need to be demotivated or disheartened at all. I have seen people who have got into dental school after multiple attempts. So I would rather say, don't look for feedback from them anymore, rather start preparing for taking it again. And I'm pretty sure there is a day limit that within 90 days or another 100 days you can take the exam again. So I recommend take the exam again and do not let this affect you at all. Go ahead and always jump into it with making an effort to make your resume even more competent.
I can add a little bit on this question that every student should provide for himself a very honest and direct feedback. So each one of us, we probably know that there are some areas which we study more, and some areas we just, for example, myself, I don't like biochemistry, but this is not just enough for me to study a little bit, even if I don't like it. So I have to make myself to study more. So each one of us, when we go through these failures, we just have to give ourselves a very honest and constructive feedback. So each one who fails, I believe, should start from that point. Also, maybe just reviewing the literatures, like somebody, they may study from an old edition of dental decks. Maybe that should be revised too. Or I don't know, maybe somebody is giving herself too much time, because if your study period is too long, you may forget what you studied in the beginning. So this could be many causes why the student failed. But again, one of the biggest feedback: do not fail part 2 if you take it, obviously, because unfortunately that goes in our history, and the program directors can see, and that unfortunately doesn't speak too well of our profile if you fail twice.
I would like to add something about this. I know a lot of people now are trying to take part 1 and part 2 as fast as they can. I wouldn't recommend doing this. I would recommend spending all the time that until you feel comfortable taking the exam. Study all the material that you have, invest the time in this, because as Anna said, it will show in your history that dental schools know that you took this in the first attempt or the second attempt. Just take your time and good luck.
Also, just the last thing to add up on this. Even if you fail, do not hesitate to convey that to your to your advisor, or when you get the final interview call. That's to a later date, of course, but when you get the interview call, you might be asked about why you failed or what happened. Always be confident and do not hesitate, because you know it's in the history and they already know that you have failed once or twice. So just say that, yes, I did fail and this was the reason genuinely, and I did have a contingency plan after. What I did after was much more productive, and that's when I took it again and I succeeded at this. So definitely good luck to whoever this question directs to, but I definitely would recommend get at it right away and start preparing for the next attempt.
So along those lines, this next question: how advisable is applying with a pending board score?
So a lot of schools have in their applications, in the secondary applications, that you can apply. You can complete your application. At least in Capit that I know, to the schools that I applied to, they had an option that you can actually provide them with the date when you took the exams. And I don't know if they have a way to reach out to the board and get your scores before you get it, but they at least should know that you have your score, you have your exams taken already. So even if you have just taken the exams and you don't have the results yet, do not hesitate in completing your applications. I would definitely recommend, that's what I did at least. When I took my exams, I did not know that we could do this. And one of my friends suggested me that you could at least put down your dates, when you took the exams, because explicitly not all the applications ask for your score or whether you passed or not. They just ask if you have taken the exam yet. So as soon as you take the exam, go to your Capit application and review all the applications where you can finish that particular application just by putting the date on. I would definitely recommend putting down the date already and completing the application and send in as soon as you can. But make sure that before you take your exams, you already have your personal statement ready, already have your evaluations in place. Everything else should be ready, and just except pressing that button of sending after you take your exams. That's it. That's how I did it, because you know how it gets. It gets really cutthroat and people send in their applications like immediately when the cycle opens. So I definitely would recommend, do not wait for the end and keep your application sent in as soon as possible.
Next question: should I postpone until I get over 100 on TOEFL?
I'd like to answer this question. I took TOEFL for 6 times. One of the reasons that I did this and I missed a lot of deadlines, because I listened to people who said you should get more than 100 in order to have a chance in applying and getting in an interview and all of that. However, the highest score that I got was less than 100, and I know people who got into dental school with less than 100, a lot of people actually. So TOEFL is just one part of your whole application. If you can't score then 100 or even 100, that's fine. Just work on other areas that you can improve. Your GPA is something that's fixed, you cannot improve, but your passion about dentistry, your work, your dedication, this all shows in your application and shows your interest in the program and the school that you're interested in. So I would definitely apply if you did your best and that's the highest that you can score.
Anybody wants to add, or shall I go? Can I add something to this?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
All right, yeah. So going along the same lines as Ahmed said, I know people who are in my class already in the advanced studying program at Boston University who still take a lot of effort to, finish one sentence in English. Because I don't know if, everybody out there is aware about, but there are so many countries which do not speak in English at all, like literally at all. I was surprised to know this. I mean, this is to no disrespect to any of those people. English is just a language, it's not the scale of your intelligence. Okay, so do not feel discouraged by your TOEFL scores or IELTS scores or whatever English exams you took. I would definitely suggest at least send in your application with the highest score of TOEFL that you have before your deadline if you are really, keeping up with the timeline. Do not let your deadlines go past just for the reason that you did not score 100 on TOEFL. You definitely make an effort to get a better score before the deadlines are, for the time that the deadlines are not yet closed by. But if the deadline is right around the corner and you are just stuck because of your TOEFL score, do not take a step. Do not take a chance. Just go and submit your application. You do not need to have a perfect 100 on TOEFL score all the time. Provided your other resume, the rest of the resume is equally competitive and is, I would say, competent.
Anna, do you have anything to add?
I can add more that I had a colleague which also took TOEFL about, as Ahmed said, a couple of times. He got around 80, and finally he got his highest was 97, I believe, so less than 100. And this was the score which actually granted him acceptance to 4 schools in the United States, and he chose to go to University of Minnesota. So again, work on other skills in your profile if you feel like TOEFL is a little bit challenging for you personal. For me also was challenging. My first language is Romanian. We speak Russian as a second language, but English I just started to work when I came in United States in 2012. So obviously I speak English just for a very short period of time. But take your time and improve your profile. You can improve like shadowing, research experience, and that score is definitely not, it's not just a number about your personality. Your personality is so much more.
Okay, the next question. Does non-dental volunteering count?
I can talk about that. Besides dentistry, I volunteer in a lot of nonprofit dental in a lot of nonprofit organizations. I volunteer a lot in. I was an event coordinator and a project coordinator for after school help for kids. As long as you can word that experience, as long as you can show how that experience helped you as a professional and made you a better person, that's amazing. For example, my experiences, I worded that in my personal statement. They helped me to learn more about cultural diverse, let's say, communities. In Seattle, we have Vietnamese, Russians, and Romanians. So I volunteer in both communities because one day I think I'm gonna go back and work with them. So that helped in my CV a lot. So you just have to know and you have to think about how can this impact your personal statement in a positive way? How can this help you as a professional, and make sure that you articulate those points, not just let it there stand. And somebody may think that you wasted time, but as long as you have a strong argument, make a personal story and go for it.
Going along the same line, I would say, let's face it, if somebody is in dentistry for money or for ulterior motives, forget about doing dentistry at all. I would definitely say dentistry is all about philanthropy, to give back to the community, to give back to the people. We are here in this noble profession. It is called noble because it is for people. You are working for a betterment of the life of somebody. No matter where you volunteer, all the dental schools want to know is how compassionate you are, or do you have a tendency of giving back to the society. to the community? How helpful can you be? Regardless of what your experience counts as, even if it's not dental. I used to give out water bottles at the corner of the road stop here at the School of Public Health. But I still put that down on my CV because that shows them, the dental school people, the admissions committee, that you are a compassionate human being, and somewhere down the line you are definitely willing to go out there, out of your ways, to help people out there. When I was in School of Public Health, I used to distribute free water bottles on the corner of the road because it was an opportunity I was presented with from the school. It did not count as my dental experience, of course, but that definitely was put down in my resume, and they did ask me about how that was going, or how did I even get passionate about doing that for myself. So don't worry about all the experiences that you have had so far. As far as the volunteer work is involved, do anything that you can which shows your compassion towards human beings. That builds you more as a person first, and then as a professional later. So definitely put down your volunteer work in your resume, and you should be hopeful for getting in.
So I just want to add one thing, couple of organizations that I volunteered with, and I think it's a good idea for people who are around there who can't do dental related volunteer. You have American Red Cross that you can volunteer with. You have food banks. I think it's almost in every city in the United States. You have a lot of organizations that you can volunteer with, and you get the experience that will help you later on to talk about in your interview, in your resume, in your personal statement. It will show that you're really trying to help people.
Okay, our next question. When you say to make ourselves more competent, since I'm already a dental assistant, what else can I do to make my future application more well-rounded?
I can talk about that a little bit. So application has many parts today. It's not just about the dental experience. I would say that yes, we know GPAs and TOEFL scores are also a big part today. Besides dental experience, many schools, they like when you have a little bit of research experience. If you don't have back in your country, you can try to do something in the United States. There are many research groups, laboratories around the United States, and you can just, again, volunteer there. That's what I did, and they accepted me to be like a research assistant here in Seattle, and that helped me. Also, if you have publications or any scholarship, make sure that you articulate those, like in your application process, you mention them, you describe them. A big part is also that they appreciate when you do community events or like nonprofit organizations, like again, like Ahmed mentioned, food banks. So application is not just about dentistry. It's about like a little bit of everything. So if you don't have research experience back there, make sure at least you have in the United States. If your GPA is not good, make sure at least TOEFL score is good. So try to work it in your advantage.
I am so glad somebody asked this question, because I had the same question when I was applying to dental schools. Somebody, just asked me, why are you hesitating to apply to dental schools? And I was like, I don't think my application is strong enough. I don't think I have enough experience to get into schools, because I was only looking at people who had like a ton of experience on their name, or who had 10 publications, or they were practicing for 5 years before coming here. I had none of those. So I was like, I don't feel comfortable at all. But then when I realized that's not how it is, a dental school, when they admit students in their programs, they want a mixture of population. They don't want the whole class, or say whole 30 students or 10 students, how much ever they're taking, of the same background. They don't want everybody who were like a professional dentist in their countries for 10 years. They don't want everybody to be researchers, and they don't want everybody to be, good at writing publications. No, they want a mixture. So if you don't have research experience, work towards getting any if you can get before applying. But if you don't at the end, that doesn't give you any reason not to apply. Like, I did my master's in public health. I definitely had some research on my name. I talked about that. I was asked about that in my interview as well. That does definitely help, but if you don't have any, that doesn't mean you cannot expand your resume in any other way. Like Ahmed said, and like Anna said, you can definitely volunteer, or you can work in a food bank, or volunteer and shadow in a, say, a community health center. I was shadowing when I was in my public health school, I was shadowing in a nonprofit community center, which was right behind my school. And that definitely counts as a resume builder as well. You don't need to be, so none of the schools will give you an explicit guideline or outline as to what they want in your application. They will, they will never tell you what they saw you, even after you get admitted into the school. It's always going to be a question mark, or it's in the dark. So you have to do everything in your power that you can while you are outside the school. If you are applying to the dental school, do whatever you can, be it shadowing, be it observing, be it research, be it volunteering work, be it being an assistant to some office. Anything that you can do and you think you can afford to do apart from your normal regular life that you have, you should do it. That's what competence means to me. Competence is how you build up your personality around your skill set that you already have, and how better as a professional can you be in the future.
I'm going to add a comment here as well. We had a webinar last week called How to Become a Well-Rounded Applicant. And as ASDA members, you have access to the recordings on asdanet.org. If you go to our webinars, you can watch a recording of a past webinar. So that might be a great one to listen to as well. Next question. Did any of you take a bench prep course for interviews?
I fortunately only applied to the schools which did not have a bench test. I was in my master's program, and my only goal after my master's was to get into the dental school by hook or by crook. I made myself very clear that you need a really good recommendation and evaluation by somebody who is very well known here in the States, and you need to have all the research work and all the shadowing that I was doing on the side to be put down in the application. I did not apply to the schools which asked me a bench test because I honestly knew I did not have time to prepare for it, because my master's program here at Boston University, it was really jam-packed. It was intense in itself, so I had no time to prepare for those. So I would say, to save money, I did not apply to those programs which asked for a bench test.
So for me personally, I did not take any bench test courses. However, I know a couple of my friends who did take the bench test course, and they got accepted into the schools that require bench test exams. I would say it's very expensive to take these courses nowadays. If you can afford it, I would recommend doing it. You're just trying to do the best that you can to be able to get into a school here. If not, if you can't take it, I would recommend practicing on your own. Invest the time practicing and showing to people that you work with, that you volunteer with, show them your preparation. Spend the time practicing and practicing and practicing until you improve.
If I can add to this question as well, one of the big tip which I came up honestly myself, because applying to dental school is expensive on the process itself is very expensive. I did not have money for the bench test, and I had to travel for it in California. Again, hotel, avia tickets, very expensive. So what I did, I went to University of Washington. I started to volunteer there to shadow. And I volunteer there just to stock up some materials in the clinic. And this gave me the opportunity, and again, you have to not just have the opportunity, but make sure to use it to your advantage. I got in touch with students from D4 year, and I asked them if they can just randomly once a week or twice a month evaluate my work. And they said, no problem, you just, what are you doing? They asked me, and they said, yeah, I'm just practicing in my garage. I said to them, I said, okay, no problem. So I went to them with my class 2s, amalgam prep or crown preps. So we just figure out like a time, like every other Friday at 12 o'clock, let's say. So we met, they look at my preps, and they gave me feedback. And I do believe that they were very good evaluators. because they know what their teachers at their school are looking for. They were preparing themselves for the license exam, so they knew very well what are the criteria, how everything is supposed to be. So that's what I did, and honestly, it was very helpful.
That was such a nice idea. I have never thought about it that way, actually. So instead of spending money on the classes, maybe if you can find a gig like this, if you are going to shadow at some office or
Yeah, it was not just for free. I offered them to give them like a Starbucks gift card. They refused, but I insisted, so that was
I would
nice.
rather offer a $100 coffee if that was the case, rather than going for a $10,000 course.
Yeah. And for them was like a 10 minutes feedback during their break, like 10, 15 minutes feedback. And obviously by myself, I was reading some literature but it was very helpful. Their feedback was very helpful.
There you go, guys. I mean, there are also videos on YouTube if you want to see a particular procedure. I'm sorry. If you want to check out how to do it, how to approach it, how to start it. Even if you don't have the regular instruments that you use, to make the procedure go successfully, you can still watch the videos meanwhile that you prepare for the next step, what you want to do before you apply.
All right, we have one more question. If I'm reapplying to the same schools, should I change my personal statement completely?
I can answer that question. I remember I was discussing with the program directors about the applicants, and because you are a reapplicant, yes, you should change your personal statement. You should definitely describe what you did. You got an rejection probably for a reason, maybe because you're looking for somebody, I don't know, different or stronger in some particular area, and you should analyze a little bit your profile and figure out what you can do to make it more diverse, or I don't know, change a score if you can, let's say TOEFL, and definitely work on that area and make sure that you articulate that in your personal statement. And also, I don't know, you may say probably 1 year was not just about one score. In 1 year, you managed to do something else too, and you have to mention this again in your personal statement and describe how you changed, what area did you improve all of this time.
I want to add to that. Unfortunately, I don't have any experience. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't have any experience with that. But I know somebody who got into dental school after 4 attempts. By 4 attempts, all the members in the office of admissions in that school would know you by your name. Trust me, believe me, when you send in your application, they go through your personal statement up and down, in and out. So they know what you already said. Instead of just resubmitting the same thing, which did not get you in the last chance that you had, make it more better or make it something different. Even if you haven't been able to achieve anything extra, just change it, revamp it a little bit, make it in a new way. You just have to make them believe that you are the person that they're looking for, you are the person that they can trust on, and they will be, they will be happy. They should be happy to have you in their schools, because in the future, what you're going to be is going to be something better than what you are right now. Show them that the better version of you can be possible when you work with them in their school. So yes, definitely, like Anna said, you should change your personal statement 100%. Revamp it a little bit, tweak it a little bit, change your language, get it proofread by a lot of people if you can. If not a lot, at least 3 people, because 3 opinions is all it takes for you to refine your personal statement, according to me. Because there's always 3 sides to a story. That's their version of story, there's our version of story, and there's the right version of story. So to land up at your right version of story, you would definitely need 3 or 4 proofreadings.
Ahmed, do you have anything to add for that?
No, I just agree with them. I didn't have any experience with reapplication. However, I know a couple of my friends who did reapply and they did change their personal statement, and the second attempt they got accepted. So I would agree with Bojan and Anna on that.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. If you're looking for more pre-dental focused learning, sign up for our last pre-dental month webinar next week. We'd like to thank you for participating in tonight's program. I'd like to also thank our speakers tonight, Poojan, Anna, and Ahmed, along with the ADA for presenting our program tonight. This program was recorded and will be posted on ASDA's website and emailed to all participants. Complete the evaluation by Friday and you'll be registered for a drawing to receive an ASDA water bottle. Thank you so much for joining us. Register for next week's Wednesday webinar or join us on social media throughout the month. And enjoy the rest of Pre-Dental Month. Have a great night. Thanks so much.
Good luck, everybody.
Thank
Keep
you.
connected with ASDA.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke.